See, this echo shows LV hypertrophy, dilated LA with a central or mildly eccentric MR, and the LVEF, there is a mild systolic dysfunction. Now, the another most important thing is, see, the interictal septum is bulging toward the right atrium. So, you know, as soon as you put the fourth chamber or the parasternal long axis view, you know the LA pressure is high and the patient is in failure. It could be both diastolic failure with elevated LA pressure. Now, another thing, when you comment or when you write down the report, you must know, right, what you are writing. Number one, whether you is normal wall motion. Second, it's you like to call it hypokinetic, with scar or without scar, or a partial thickness scar. And to an experienced echocardiographer, he will categorically tell you it is hypokinetic, there is no scar, or there is a scar and that is partial thickness. So it's non-QMI or subendocardial infarct or a transmural infarct. The clinician will know, yes, it's correlating with my diagnosis. Now, what is the dynamic objective parameter with which you can help the cardiologist? You can measure the stroke volume. Obviously, to measure the stroke volume, and you have to know the VTI. Now, one major problem in the ICU is, sorry, I'm running short of time. You must know how much you have to get a good apical 5-chamber view. Next, you must know the diastolic function, the status, the LA pressure. Now, the rule of thumb, you add 4 millimeter of mercury to E by A ratio. Now, this is not very sensitive, but it's a workable formula. Now, another thing, you look after the IS motion. There is a grading, and it's not so old grading, where you can indirectly assess the degree of LA pressure by movement of the interictal septum. Now, there are certain special populations where the rule of diastolic grading do not apply. One, if there is atrial fibrillation, if there is pulmonary hypertension, or if there is constriction, or a severe mitral annulus calcification, while lateral annulus velocity is less than the septal velocity. So, there are special situations. So, remember, when you are reporting the LA pressure, remember these situations. Now, in atrial fibrillation, I think Dr. Dey has dealt enough how to assess the atrial LA pressure in atrial fibrillation. And I was listening to the diastology lecture in the morning. There is recently published guideline by British Society of Echocardiography. They have used LA strain to categorize the intermediate group, whether it's reduced diastolic compliance or normal diastolic compliance. So, it's recently published in the June. You can go through that part. Now, next point is you look after the valve. Now, nowadays non-surgical intervention is advanced so much in a high volume center. Almost any valve can be dealt with in a percutaneously through through artery to help the patient. Now it's the hypovolemic shock. Now, if you are dealing with a hypovolemic shock, you must see the size of the ventricle. In a small ventricle, almost collapse, we call it kissing ventricles. With it's a very important critical situation, because surviving sepsis guideline always says that any shock, whether it's a cardiogenic, non-cardiogenic, or undifferentiated shock, you give or infuse 30 milliliter per kg crystallite, and that saves the patient. Now, next point is IVC. How to predict right atrial pressure? There is a rule: if the IVC is dilated and little collapsing, the LA pressure is high, and if it is not dilated but collapsing, it is intermediate. If it is less than normal size and collapsing more than 50%, then the LA pressure is 5 or less. Now, one thing we must remember, if the patient is on ventilator, the situation is totally different, because in a ventilator, works in a reverse Valsalva physiology. During inspiration, normally the IVC collapses when you inspire. In the ventilation, when the intrathoracic pressure increases, either the IVC dilates or it doesn't collapse. So the collapsing of the IVC must be interpreted with caution in a ventilated patient. Now, how do you assess the volume status? You look at the patient. If it is not on ventilator, spontaneously breathing patient with more than 25% collapsing IVC, you can give a fluid challenge. And in a ventilated patient, if it is collapsing more than 18%, then only you can give a passive fluid challenge. Now, another method is the dynamic method. You can calculate the LVVTI variation. If the LVVTI is varying with beats and it's more than 20%, then you have if it's a shock patient, you can always give a fluid challenge of 30 milliliter per kg to resuscitate the patient. But remember, if it is having an arrhythmia, a very high heart rate, you cannot give a fluid, and you have predicted a high LA pressure. In that case, the next option is you can raise the leg, and the raising of the leg will transfuse the patient with 300 to 500 milliliter fluid. So that is a very good alternative method to see whether fluid challenge can raise the BP and resuscitate the patient. And you look at the obstructive shock. These are very telltale signs. I am not going to RV function, pulmonary hypertension we had yesterday. One thing I would like to mention categorically, in a dehydrated patient, if the patient is having mild concentric hypertrophy, it may cause LV outflow tract obstruction, and that is not hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. Remember,
Dr. Vishwas, please wind up the session, please.
Yes. So, distributive shock is commonly seen in sepsis, and there can be dilatation, there can be hypertrophy, there can be hypertrophic obstruction, and there can be diastolic dysfunction. So, there are many protocols, you can find it. So, in a ICU critical care patient, echocardiography is almost a invincible instrument to help the intensivist or a cardiologist. Thank you.